This is WICR.
Welcome back to our second segment of the day of The Rock is On. I'm your host, The Rock, and we're gonna make the transition from football and the NFL draft to basketball and the NBA playoffs. And as we know, there was a couple of Game 7s yesterday. We'll start off with the first game between the Miami Heat and the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets. Going into the series, this was my upset pick. I predicted the Hornets to win in 6, and they had an opportunity to win in 6, believe it or not. They had Miami on the ropes. They had home court advantage. They had the crowd in that game, but they couldn't pull through. Now, and they wind up getting crushed yesterday in Game 7, 106 to 73. Now, is this a way for a team to grow? Now, this is growing pains for a young team? Yeah, I guess you can say. But you know what? Whether you're a veteran team or a young team, if you have an opportunity to close a team out, you got to do it. You just got to do it. I'm sorry. I don't want to bash Steve Clifford or the Hornets and for the team because they had a phenomenal year. They're steadily progressing. They're one of the up and coming teams in the league. But you know what? You have to close it out. If you have a team on the ropes like that, you got to close it out. And kudos to Miami. Kudos to the Heat because they were trailing. Their backs were against the wall. And Dwayne Wade showed that veteran leadership. He shows what it takes to win in this league and how to come back in a series and wind up winning it. And that's what happened in this series. And now for the team that the Miami Heat will be facing in the semifinals, we'll move on to our other Game 7, and that was between the Indiana Pacers and the Toronto Raptors. And the Raptors before this season started, before the playoffs started, before the season started, I thought about the Raptors as one of the most underachieving teams in the NBA because you know what they win 45 50 plus games a year and they wind up getting bounced in the first round. And at times they lose to teams that they're just better than. We go back last year, they were the fourth. I think they were the fourth seed. Yeah, they were the fourth seed, and they wind up getting swept by the Washington Wizards. And then you go the year before that, they were the 3 seed, and they wind up losing in 6 games to 7 games to the Brooklyn Nets. And you know what? And they actually had a lead in that series, 3-2. And they lost Game 6 in Brooklyn, and they lost a nail biter in Game 7 on their home court. And prior to Game 7 of this series, there was a lot of speculation. There was a lot of murmur. There was a lot of, I guess you can say, commotion saying, will the Raptors get off the schneid? Will they, can they surpass, the first round bugaboo or basically the first round, I should say. You know what? And kudos to the Raptors of just, avoiding that, moving on, and just playing their game. DeMar DeRozan led the way with 30 points in Game 7. And you have to credit Indiana as well for making a run in that game and putting the Raptors on their heels. Because Paul George played phenomenal. He's a veteran leader on that team. But this is the first time, and for the Raptors, this is the first time moving on past the first round or winning in the first round since 2001 when they beat the New York Knicks 3-2 in the first round. And back then it was a best out of 5, and that format changed to 7 in 2003. But let's preview this matchup between the Heat and the Raptors. Now this is going to be, I think this is going to be an intriguing 2-3 matchup, kind of similar to in the West with OKC and the Spurs, or the Thunder and the Spurs. But I think when all is said and done, I think you have to give the edge to the Miami Heat, and here's why. Because they have veteran leadership, like I said, with Dwayne Wade, and they have and they've been there before. The Raptors, they haven't been here. This is most of these players never made it past the first round. So this is all foreign to them. Now, the moment could be a little overwhelming, but you know what? In sports, you play to win the game. You play to win the game. Now, am I saying Toronto doesn't have a chance? No. Because, they're the 2 seed. And they won, I believe, 56 games this year, if I stand corrected. But, so you have to give them a chance for that, or in that aspect. But I just feel like Miami, with their veteran leadership, with Dwayne Wade and Eric Spoelstra leading the way, they are going to win this series. And I believe it's going to be Heat in 6. Put it in the books. The Miami Heat will beat the Toronto Raptors in 6 games, and will play the Cleveland Cavaliers, who I think will win, or who should definitely win, and beat the Atlanta Hawks in the other semifinal round. But this should be an intriguing matchup. We're looking forward to it, and I think when all is said and done, when you have a Cavalier Heat Eastern Conference Finals, that's going to be very, very compelling. Extremely compelling. And that concludes our second segment of The Rock is On.